and we join Upstream. And joining me is Geoffrey Cleaves, Jeff Cleaves, the head of Secure D with Upstream. Jeff, great to see you. Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Hi, very, very good. Lovely seeing you. We do a lot of work together in the DCB for Growth group, and great having you here. And looking forward to your session now, looking at fraud in the funnel, a pandemic of fake clicks and leads, malware and bots, and how to stop it. And indeed, I'll be looking later today at everything that happened in the world of payments as a result of COVID. So, Jeff, enjoy your session. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks to you and Upstream for sponsoring the event, and enjoy. Bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, James, for having us and for the introduction. Welcome, everybody, to my chat, my presentation called Fraud in the Funnel, a pandemic of clicks and leads, malware and bots, and how to stop it. Quite a mouthful. My name is Jeff Cleaves. I am the head of Secure D at Upstream. Upstream is a mobile marketing platform working with over 35 network operators in 23 countries in Latin America, Africa, the Middle East, and Southeast Asia. We don't only work with network operators, we work with other digital marketers as well, insurance companies, banking institutions, online education, fast-moving consumer goods. They're customers of ours also. I personally am an American. I was born and raised in Latin America, although I am today coming to you from Barcelona, where I've been living the last 20 years, and I've been analyzing suspicious internet traffic for about 7 years. Today I'm going to present our findings from Upstream and Secure D's recent mobile malware and ad fraud report, and give you some tips on how you can protect yourselves from bad actors. I know, lots of people are tired of hearing about fraud, and you prefer to hear about ways to increase your revenue. Well, that's what Upstream is all about. It's about clean revenues, and so I'll touch upon that as well later in the presentation. Okay, so, these are statistics that we all know. It's the whole reason we're taking part in this MEF event. It's that, advertising, payments, and e-commerce are all going mobile. Yes, $3.6 trillion will be spent in 2021 on mobile commerce sales. 73% of all e-commerce sales are on mobile. Okay, so you guys know this stuff. Digital advertising obviously is also increasing. The spend is increasing. In 2022, the digital ad spend is expected to be $500 billion US. Also, most of it going to mobile. But unfortunately, though no surprise, ad fraud is keeping pace with those big numbers, and $87 billion by some estimates are expected to disappear to ad fraud by 2022. So we've got huge amounts of money being diverted to mobile, e-commerce and ad spend. However, global estimates are that 1 in 36 devices around the world are infected with risky apps. And actually, in the markets that Upstream works in, that number is much higher. It's not 1 in 36. I'll tell you it's much higher in just a moment. Quickly show you how problematic malware is. Google Play Store blocked 962,000, that's practically 1 million apps from entering the Play Store in 2020, and it removed 120,000 apps from the Play Store in 2020. Those are ones that got in and got on people's phones. Quick reminder to everybody, you probably know it, but why does malware exist and how do malware developers earn money? Two main methods of earning money for a malware developer. One is by getting that malware on your phone and harvesting your private data. So it's going to get your name, your address, perhaps your banking information, as much information as possible, your tax ID, and sell it on the dark web as people try to steal your identity. It's not that easy to do. It's much easier to do number 2 here on the list on the slide, and the earn money by generating fraudulent conversions. So here the malware developer registers somewhere in the value chain as as someone who's going to earn commissions, and then for fake clicks, fake installs, fake impressions, fake subscriptions, et cetera, and earn money that way. So that's the main way that the mobile malware developers are making their money. Of course, when you are successful in disseminating your malware across thousands of devices, that's a great advantage, because your traffic, your fake internet traffic, looks a lot more real because it's on 1,000 different IP addresses and 1,000 real phones. Okay, so let's go into some of the statistics from our report called The Pandemic on Mobile. These are some high-level statistics. 1 in 6 of the users that security sees is infected. 1 in 6, so not 1 in 36, 1 in 6. That's a big number. We've detected 45,000 malicious apps over the last year, and an amazing 95% of all transactions were deemed to be fraudulent. So what kind of transactions am I talking about? For the most part, it is digital content subscription attempts that I'm talking about. So although Upstream and security do work on lead generation campaigns and brand awareness campaigns, the majority of our data does indeed come from digital content subscriptions. Let's go into some statistics. This is insights from 840 million users across 23 countries. There's a lot more detail in our report called The Pandemic on Mobile. Before I jump into the statistics, let me just quickly explain how it's possible that security is able to gather these statistics. That's because security sits on the mobile network operator's consent page. That's the page, so we're integrated with the mobile operator. The consent page is, that page that any user sees before they complete a transaction for digital content. So it's on the purchase page. Sometimes we actually take on the whole flow ourselves. So the whole page is ours, as well as some of the pages leading up to it that allows us to, add more robust security. Okay, so over the last year, no surprise, we saw that fraudsters were following the general COVID-19 trends. So two industries were great winners, two digital industries were great winners during the pandemic. Those was gaming, video gaming, and entertainment. So video gaming grew to $180 billion in revenue in 2020 from 150 in 2019. So just as the gaming industry benefited, the fraudsters follow. And why do I say that? It's because games are now the #1 category of fraudulent applications. So when we look at all the fraudulent those 45,000 fraudulent applications that we saw over the last year, 21% of them are in the gaming category. So that's a shift. It used to be tools and personalization. So the fact that it's gaming now, on the one hand, it makes sense because it's following the trend of COVID-19, but it's also showing a lot more effort by the fraudsters, in my opinion. It's a lot harder to develop a gaming app than it is to develop a tool app. And the type of tools that we're talking about are ones that might remind you to drink water. It's a very easy app to develop and hide malware behind, but gaming is more complicated. Another place that we saw sort of the fraudsters following the trend of COVID-19 was in their increase in usage of apps in the category of communications, social news, and magazines. So although that category only made up 12% of all the apps, it did grow by 17% over last year. So we know that fraudsters are capitalizing on people's fear, spreading fake news, and using communication to get people to click on malicious links and install malicious software. Here are the top agitators for 2020. I'll start with the statistics on the left. 29% of malicious apps went to the Google Play Store. That's actually a lot less than last year. Last year it was close to 50%. So we would sort of say kudos to Google Play. Although the App Store is still full of lots of fraudulent apps, it's doing better. Not as many are going through the Play Store. It's mostly third-party stores. We're seeing pre-installed malware installed on low-end devices. So if you look at the #2 app on this list, commeizu.safe, that app #2 is an app that's pre-installed on Meizu devices. These are low-end devices that are sold in Brazil and Indonesia. And actually 3 of our top 10 apps are all Meizu apps, pre-installed Meizu apps. It seems that some device from 2017, 2018 was shipped with pre-installed malware. Bottom left-hand corner, cracked apps might come with a nasty payload. And that's referring to the app #5 on the list, AppCake. So AppCake is our #5 app. Is that 5? Yes. And this is a third-party Play Store that offers users pirated apps. Okay, so if you're talking about if someone wants a premium app that they normally would have to pay for through the Google Play Store, they can instead use AppCake to install a cracked version of that app and get that app for free. However, obviously it's not free, because once AppCake is on your phone, it starts trying to subscribe you to digital services. And actually, one interesting thing about AppCake is that when it hits advertisers' pages, it doesn't announce itself as AppCake. It spoofs other apps. It pretends to be other apps. And the one we saw it spoofing the most is an app called Android Sensor Box. So if you're seeing lots of traffic from an app called Android Sensor Box, or any of these apps listed here, then you should be concerned. Speaking of communications, the Caping app here in the middle is a news app. It comes pre-installed on Xiaomi phones. So another case of pre-installed malware. The interesting thing is that this app is news for Indonesia, yet Xiaomi pre-installed it on phones across the world, and we see people in Spain wondering, why do I have this app on my phone? There's no clear explanation. Okay, let's continue. Here are a few more statistics. In Indonesia, an amazing 1 out of 2 devices that we detected were fraudulent, and an amazing 99.6% of all transactions were fraudulent. In Thailand, 1 out of 3, and the number 1 app was called a Simply Clean. Actually, the top 3 apps, 3 out of the top 10 apps in Thailand are all cleaner apps. Except if you're installing those on your phone, you're not cleaning the phone at all. You're actually filthying it up. And those apps were capable of bypassing two-factor authentication, the SMS OTP message. They were bypassing that. In South Africa, the number 1 suspicious app is ShareIt. You might know it as com.lenovo.anyshare.gps if you're getting traffic from them. Be careful. And in Nigeria, the number 1 app is XOS Launcher 2020. So what happens when people, users, you and me, get infected with these apps? Well, there are unauthorized subscriptions to premium services, fraudulent charges to consumers' prepaid airtime, depletion of users' data allowance. What is that? What's the net effect? Users get furious. Users get very angry, and lots of them go online. And start complaining. So these are real tweets that we took off of Twitter. On the top right corner, you can see that you steal credits and the attendants are all unprepared. The operator is trash. I'm going to change because I'm tired of it. And the second comment is quite similar. I lost a gig bundle without even using it last night, and the lady on the line insists it's my app. So we have a case where the customer care professionals aren't equipped to handle these situations, and the users are very upset that their data is gone. So, it doesn't just hurt the consumer. It doesn't just annoy the call center representative to have this happening. There are much more serious effects, right? Obviously, the MNO's NPS is going to suffer if people go online and start complaining about it publicly. And we did a study with Tim Brazil where we took a sample of infected users and we compared it to a sample of users we knew were not infected. Tim cooperated with this. And when we compared the two populations of users, we found, or Tim helped us find, that the infected users were generating 12.3% less ARPU for the network operator than the users that did not have malware. So, if you're a network operator and you think there could be fraud in your network and you want to solve it, it's not so much a case of being a good corporate citizen. There's that, but it's also about your bottom line. You will improve your bottom line, your ARPU, if you can prevent fraud from taking place. And of course, I'm talking a lot about MNOs here and consumers, but if you're a marketer and if this fake traffic is hitting your landing pages or hitting your brand awareness pages and you're paying out for that malware traffic, of course, that's lost budget. It's money that vanishes into thin air, and only the bad guys get it. And it also results in lots of wasted time, impossible data that's impossible to analyze. If you're doing lead generation campaigns, you're calling people who don't exist. So, everybody's hurt in the value chain. So obviously, SecureD's job is to stop all of this, right? If we detect 95% of the transactions as fraudulent, we're going to prevent them. We're going to block them. We're going to make sure that that transaction doesn't take place. And so I'll tell you a little bit about the main pillars that SecureD uses to do what it does: predictive AI blocking, behavioral pattern blocking, which means that we know the difference between how a bot behaves and how a human behaves, so we block the bots. Charge clearing process. This valid transactions are not cleared for billing immediately with the option of retroactive cancellation. What that means is that we integrate with our partners' billing APIs, and we can, if we see a transaction go through, we can pause the billing process to wait a while to ensure that that transaction was valid before triggering billing. This prevents users from getting billed for something that they shouldn't have been billed for. And even if the original billing transaction did go through and we later find evidence that that transaction was fraudulent, through our integrations with our partners' billing APIs, we can cancel that and retroactively remove that charge before the user sees it on their bill. Infected device notification. These are automatic reports that the MNO can use to contact people who are infected. Granular security. That's I think it speaks for itself. And then the lower right-hand corner, individual incident investigation interface. If you remember, 2 of those tweets were complaining about how unprepared the customer calls representative was, customer service representative. We offer training and interface for the customer care representative, so they can look into SecureD. So when somebody calls to say, I'm out of data, how could it be? You don't just blanketly blame their apps. You can actually look at a log of transactions and explain to the user exactly what happened and how to clean their phone if it results that it's infected. Okay, I'll do a couple of quick case studies. MTN South Africa in August 2018, they called us in because they had a high level of complaints. We deployed SecureD and implemented this clearings process to ensure that no one was charged fraudulently. When we first came in the door, we were blocking 92% of the transactions. After 5 months, we achieved the following. I'll start in the middle here. A 75% drop in calls to the call center for unwanted subscriptions. That was the main purpose of MTN hiring us. So that was a success. Collateral advantages obviously were 100% fraud-free revenues. And on the left, the traffic actually improved. Once the traffic levels obviously dropped, but once SecureD started blocking the traffic, we went from a 92% block rate to a 41% block rate because traffic had shifted elsewhere. They weren't going to MTN's network. They were going elsewhere where it was easier to make money. Okay, let's go to Nigeria. I told you I'd speak a little bit about how SecureD and Upstream can help you generate revenue. This is one example, and I'll come to another in just a moment. Since 2017, in Nigeria, mobile transactions required a type of dual factor authentication. So anybody wanted to buy digital content on their mobile phone, they had to go through the web page, click I want it, and then a USSD screen would appear on the screen saying, please confirm the purchase. And that was implemented in order to prevent the fraud that had been taking place in Nigeria. It does work at reducing fraud, but this dual factor authentication is also very good at reducing legitimate revenue because when it comes to a user wanting to buy something, obviously the less friction there is in the process, the better. So MTN Nigeria came to us in late 2020 and said, guys, why don't we run a proof of concept of SecureD with a pure web flow, present our findings to the local regulators, and see if we can change their minds about the USSD and I dual factor authentication. And we did that. It was a great success. We ran the POC, implemented SecureD, ran the POC, and after a couple of months presented our data to the local regulators, who then agreed to lift the necessity for dual factor authentication for all MNOs in Nigeria, as long as they worked with a viable and fit for purpose security platform. So in that sense, if you think that we achieved a frictionless purchase process for digital content over direct carrier billing. If you think revenues dropped by 50 or 60% when the friction is added, that's the sort of increase in revenue that we expect after the friction is removed. Okay, so I've explained to you how great SecureD is, I hope, in the couple of minutes I've been speaking to you. Here's the best news. I've saved it for the last. The best news is that SecureD now comes included with Upstream's new performance marketing platform called Grow. So I'll try to go through this very quickly. I know my time is running out. I see James is not pushing me yet. Good. So what is Grow? Grow is a performance marketing platform. It can be delivered as a SaaS product or as a managed service. And it has these four main pillars: a campaign studio, which is a visual drag and drop system that users can use to create a flow, a user flow. We've seen that CAC is reduced by 50% using our multi-channel retargeting. That means if someone came by web, they can then, now James is pushing me. If someone came by web, we can retarget them by SMS. We have a 40% increase of conversions using our zero-rated web channels. And we have 90% improved predictive capabilities using our audience manager. So I had to run through that very quickly. I'm now at finishing up. If you'd like more information about the Grow platform, please contact me. Here's my information. And we encourage you to download the full report, Pandemic on Mobile, here. Thank you.
Jeff, thank you very much. What a fantastic presentation. So many stats there, blew my mind. I had no idea of so many of those. But then again, it's all in your report, and I need to read your report. And we need to get that on the MEF site as well. Absolutely. So, Jeff, thank you very much for your time. Thank you as well for your ongoing hard work within the DCB for Growth Working Group. And all the best and enjoy the rest of the event.
Great. Thanks for having me. Bye-bye.
No problem. Thanks again, Jeff. Bye.